first, before we start breaking this down, let's talk about how important this fight is, because there's a very good chance that the UFC flyweight division is on the line. And the way Dana White's talking about it and the way just that he's acting around Henry, it seems like this division is going to die regardless. But if Henry could beat him and beat him like solidly, I think it would. There's a very good argument that the division needs to stick around. I think it does anyway, because if you want to see technique executed at the highest level and extremely quickly and with very little room for error, then you got to watch small people fight. They say to learn jiu-jitsu from a little guy, right? I mean, I don't understand how, if you're a fan of martial arts, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love to see knockouts. I love to see heavyweights throw their fucking hands around, but man, there's something about watching just the crispness and the speed and the endurance that the flyweights have that it doesn't exist anywhere else. Maybe 135 a little bit. They're pretty comparable, I feel like, which is probably what the UFC is thinking, to be honest, that we can just mesh these things together, right? Make the people who are fighting 125 just bump up 10 pounds. But when you're that little, you got to think, I mean, 10 pounds. The difference in 10 pounds between someone who weighs 125 pounds and 135 pounds is more significant than the difference between 195 and 185 pounds, because they're smaller. Like, that gap is theoretically, or whatever the fucking word would be, it's larger. That gap is larger. And I don't know. I feel like it's a bad idea to take it away. And I feel like a lot of people, in my opinion, wrongly blame it on Demetrius for not bumping up and fighting, but he was just defending his belts. Do I think there was a point in time when he should have jumped up and fought TJ Dillashaw? 100%. Or the champion at 135? Yeah, 100%. Because, I mean, regardless of what he had done, it would have validated the division. And, I feel like that division, so you've got a guy like Henry Cejudo, right, who has fought Demetrius Johnson twice now. He's lost to Joseph Benavidez, a win over Sergio Pettis, and Sergio Pettis has a win over Joseph Benavidez, right? And that division's extremely competitive within itself, and Demetrius just sat so high up on the heap for so long that I think people started to think that it wasn't that good. But I think that Henry Cejudo beating Demetrius Johnson says a lot about how good the rest of the division really is. And I also think that this fight this weekend, tomorrow, is massively important, because like I said, I mean, there's a good chance that it'll go away regardless, or if it's a close fight, I don't think it'll stick around. But if Cejudo can go out and impose his will on TJ, who's one of the best fighters on the planet, it's got a good chance to hang around. I really think that. So, I mean, Cejudo is fighting for a lot this weekend, and this is, I mean, there's a very good chance that when the octagon door shuts behind them, we might be watching the highest level of martial arts that's ever been expressed in a professional bout. I mean, these two are, I mean, Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist. And I always say about TJ Dillashaw, if you had to build a fighter from the bottom up, I mean, creativity, movement, endurance, ability to change levels, his striking is phenomenal. Everything that TJ does is very sound and very expertly executed. I mean, he's a killer. He's an animal. So, fuck, man. I mean, overall, I think most people wanted to see TJ versus Demetrius Johnson. I think that's a fight that people wanted to see. But, I mean, Cejudo just beat the best in the world, man, and he's an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, and his striking has come a long way, especially if you watch his Wilson Hayes fight. He outclassed him, completely outclassed him, and knocked him the fuck out. So, I mean, this is an interesting fight coming up this weekend, and I think it's going to be really close. I've been going back and forth on who I think's going to win, and I really don't know. Because Henry Cejudo is a little bit smaller than TJ in terms of height, but he's dense. He's a little bit thicker through his core, and I think he's going to be used to fighting at this weight class. I don't know what TJ is going to look like here. Taking 10 pounds off a guy who weighs 135 pounds, like we just talked about earlier, is a big fucking deal. So, we'll see how it plays out, but